right, and we're back. So, director James Gunn has been tasked with maybe saving the DC Cinematic Universe and his upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, maybe one of the last few bright spots in the MCU. So, the question is, can James Gunn save both the MCU and the DCCU? Well, let's break it down. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
So, like I said, James Gunn, like the guy. He's a pretty good director. Also, by the way, Mob Nasty, thank you for joining me. Pretty good director. I've enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy films so far. I like the first one better than the second one. I know that sometimes people disagree. They prefer the second one over the first one. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Not really that big of a deal. But the point is, I've enjoyed his work in the MCU. And, you know, if you guys may have remembered, there was kind of a controversy back there where James Gunn was actually fired by Disney and then he got hired back. So, because DC hired him. So, it's kind of like been all over the place. But before we get into James Gunn, let's talk a little bit about the state of DC and Marvel. Marvel, I think right now is in bigger trouble than DC. Now, DC's hasn't been doing great for a really long time. So maybe that's why it's the fall from grace has not felt, higher. But I think that Marvel right now is in a way worse situation than DC is. So let's begin. Right now, first off, the big controversy with Marvel right now, besides, their movies and shows sucking, is around actor Jonathan Majors. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan Majors first appeared in the TV show Loki, playing basically Kong the Conqueror. Or Kong the... I don't care. They tell me it's Kong, so I'm going to go with Kong for now. All right, so Kong the Conqueror. And supposedly this is going to be the new big bad. The new villain of the MCU. The Thanos of this next phase of the MCU. There's kind of just one problem. And that's that the actor Jonathan Majors is in a major controversy right now, supposedly about some beating allegations and stuff with domestic violence stuff. So it hasn't been proven. In fact, I've read an article that says that some of the things there's evidence that completely just proves one of the things, but multiple have appeared. So who knows what's happening there? The thing is that Disney has mentioned that they aren't even considering casting somebody else, which puts Disney in a really stupid position. Marvel, let's stick to Marvel. Like, not recasting Black Panther is really stupid because now you eventually killed off the character just because the actor passed away, which I don't understand at all. The character and the actor are different. There's been multiple situations where an actor dies and, they just replace him with somebody else, or an actor gets sick, or an actor gets fired and they just replace him with another actor. It's kind of their job, pretending to be, a character. So I don't understand this particular move, especially when they've done it before. If you paid attention to me earlier, they fired James Gunn over this was in the middle of when they tried to cancel him because he made old jokes. Like, seriously? Like, old jokes that you knew when you hired him get you fired. But, domestic assault allegations, they stick to the guns, like, we're not even considering it. You know what would be a better statement? Would be like, well, if anything comes up, we'll hire him. So we're keeping our options open. So that would make a little bit more sense, but whatever, it ain't my money. So whatever, throw it away. You're just, ruining stuff. But an even bigger issue, and I haven't seen the movie yet. I haven't seen the new Ant-Man movie yet, but supposedly Kong shows up in it. And if you're in a movie and you're supposed to be like the new big bad and they're trying to paint you as even worse than Thanos, even more dangerous, and you can't deal with Ant-Man, that kind of just drops your stock a little. Makes you, like a lot less scary. So again, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard things, and that was one of the bigger critiques. Like, you're trying too hard to make fetch a thing, and it's not going to be a thing. So, all right. And also saying, like, again, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure that at one point somebody says he's worse than Thanos. He's more dangerous than Thanos, blah, blah. It's like, how about if you show it? How about if you show us how he's more dangerous? Whatever. Again, I haven't seen the movie. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I have not heard anything good about the movie so far. So again, the MCU kind of in dangerous territory. And I started thinking back. Well, before I started thinking back, I also saw the trailer for The Marvels. It looks really stupid. It's basically the new Captain Marvel movie with Kamala Khan and the girl who they introduced, who's the daughter of the pilot friend of freaking Carol Danvers. I don't know. They introduced her in WandaVision. They gave her like basically whatever power she needed at the moment. It was really weird. But whatever. So it's gonna be a new movie involving those three, and the trailer just looks terrible, like really, really terrible. So all right. I mean, this is what you got? Really? This is what you're coming up with? Okay. So I started thinking back, like what has Marvel done that's been good since Endgame? And obviously it's Spider-Man, right? So everything that they've done with Spider-Man has been good. That was the one where all of the Spider-Man show up. What's the name of it? Was it Spider-Man No Way Home? So Spider-Man No Way Home was great. I loved it. I thought it was probably the best geek movie of the year in the year they came out. From there, but then I started thinking like, hey, well, that was Sony. And again, Spider-Man's cheating. So from there, what we got? What do we have? We got Morbius. We have Venom 2. We had Black Widow. We had Doctor Strange, which was all right. And if there was another one, it was probably really forgettable. So it's one of those things where like, wow, they haven't done anything that's good. So what's in the docket? Like I was hoping that Ant-Man would be at least kind of good because I liked the first two, and turns out it's probably not. So what's next? And what's next is I think would be Guardians of the Galaxy. But before we get into that, there's one piece of news that I'm like, all right, that sounds interesting. That sounds exciting. But again, it's not Disney. It's with Sony. So, actually, no, I'm sorry. This is Disney. And it was the piece of news that Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be part of Wolverine is going to be part of the third Deadpool movie, and it's going to be Hugh Jackman. So it is exciting because for those of you who don't know, kind of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have like a bromance going on. So we'll see how that works out. But Hugh Jackman supposedly had retired as the character Wolverine. And supposedly this is not going to be the Fox Wolverine. So it's not going to be part of the X-Men movies franchise Wolverine. So I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, there's certain ways that they could bring everything together, but all right. And the big concern there is, are they going to make it PG-13 or are they going to make it rated R? Because the first two Deadpool movies are rated R, and Disney has been very specific that they're not planning on making any Marvel movies that are rated R. So let's say it's concerning. But all right, I like the first two Deadpool movies. Like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So, and I love the last Logan movie, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. One other bright spot that came out is involving actually the Spider-Man franchise, and that's the Kraven movie. For those of you who don't know Kraven the Hunter, he's a character from the Spider-Man movies. Basically, he's the dude who hunts big game, basically, and he's going to be played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, which I think is a pretty good casting. Actually, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great actor. I think he could be the next James Bond, and if he was, I wouldn't really hate it. But Aaron Taylor Johnson's Kraven movie will be rated R. So they've already announced it. They've announced it's going to be Sony's first rated R movie. So again, Sony's done pretty good with the Spider-Man movies. Everything else, not so much. And by everything else, again, I'll go through the list. Morbius, Venom 2. So not exactly a great track record if you take away Spider-Man. However, they do have Spider-Man, and they have Into the Spider-Verse, and they have the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, and so again, they'll do fine, probably there, but we'll see how it goes. So out of all the franchises that they have, like the one that's actually just exciting just because we're curious if it's going to be rated R is Deadpool, and here's where we go into James Gunn. So again, James Gunn, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The third one's gonna be coming up later this year. Actually, it's about to come out pretty soon. And so it's it's a big question what the hell is going to happen with this franchise, because they did not use the Guardians of the Galaxy well in Thor Love and Thunder. But then again, they did not use Thor well in Thor Love and Thunder. They did not use anybody well in Thor Love and Thunder. So I'm not going to blame Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to blame that they put the Guardians of the Galaxy in kind of a weird position. So first off, Chalk Dominguez, thank you for joining me. And yes, Money Does Talk. And Gus Becerra, thank you for joining me. What's up? So again, Guardians of the Galaxy left in kind of a bizarre position, which is basically they started just dicking around the galaxy with Thor for a while, and Peter Quill doesn't care about Gamora anymore, which again doesn't make any sense. But let's pretend like Thor Love and Thunder did not exist, because I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna pretend that whatever happened with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Love and Thunder was irrelevant, even though they went on a ton of adventures and stuff, supposedly, according, to the opening sequence. But whatever. So what's going to happen in this one? What's going to happen with Gamora? They keep putting her on posters, which, all right, but what the fuck? Is this time travel again? Are we still going to be dealing with time travel? Where's the franchise going to go in the future? Who knows? But it's exciting. I mean, the Christmas special was exciting. And again, they've done pretty well with this franchise so far. James Gunn this is right up his alley. This is his style of comedy. Guardians of the Galaxy. It makes perfect sense for him. It's his style. He made it work. He made it its own. He grabbed characters that kind of nobody knew, and he molded them. He shaped them, and it worked out. It's great. So I'm excited for the third one. So it's like the last thing that I'm pretty excited about, that I'm like confident that I'm gonna go watch. Deadpool, I might not go watch. I might, wait for it to stream. If they say it's not rated R. Kraven the Hunter, I'll probably go. Again, I'm pretty skeptical because it is Sony and they have fucked up a lot. But, I'll give it a chance. I'll watch the trailer and then I'll decide. But again, the last bright spot for Marvel is this one. Everything else is pretty much shit. Again, Spider-Man doesn't count. Spider-Man's Sony, all right? If Sony decides, fuck you, I'm pulling away Spider-Man, they're fucked. There's nothing they can do. So, in the MCU, there's been a big complaint. There's been a massive complaint that this stage of the MCU has been called the MCU. And the reason why it's called the MCU is because they keep killing off all the male characters, but they keep leaving all the female characters. And so now there's an overabundance of all the female characters in the MCU, which would not be bad if they were not horribly written. So, perfect example, Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers, for those of you who don't know, would be Captain Marvel. And pretty much she is supposedly perfect. She has no flaws, no mistakes, no weaknesses. And pretty much it follows the rule of might equals right. So kind of a boring character in a way, unless she's getting punished to hell, which she's not. So I don't get what they're doing with her. She had the likability of a wet sock. So, all right. MCU desperately needs X-Men to save it. It's slipping fast. Welcome to 2023. Disney recently fired the woke CEO, so there's hope. Listen, let me tell you something about the woke CEO. This was not his fault, okay? He didn't help, granted. But the dude who was before him is the guy who got this train rolling, all right? He's the guy who pointed this thing in the direction that it's headed. And he retired. They hired another guy, and that guy kind of kept it pointed in the same direction, just sped it up a little bit. And now they fired that guy, and they brought back the guy who had the original plan. So I'm not too confident about Disney being able to self-correct here, especially because it's such a big machine and everything is so interconnected. But I doubt it. Like, the future of Disney is not looking bright in general. Like, I think they just had another round of having to fire people, which, all right. I mean, I have no issues with useless people getting fired, or really bad people, really bad writers getting fired. I've complained about this, to high heavens, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. there's still a lot of really good creators out there. They just end up not working for the big companies. They end up doing their own thing. Why? Because the big companies don't hire them. I don't know why. Maybe it's because their stuff is controversial or something. I don't know. But whatever. Like, there's certain things where you're like, man, that could never be made today. And I'll give you a perfect example. Johnny Bravo. You guys ever watch that cartoon show, the Cartoon Network, Johnny Bravo? Like, break it down. It's a... All right, I'm gonna pitch this to you. Like, Cartoon Network CEO guy. The show is about a dude in his 30s who lives with his mom, whose best friend is his neighbor, who's like a 10-year-old, and whose only goal in life is to go and pick up chicks. And it's a TV show for kids. Yeah. Like, you know, it's one of those things like, really? Like, Rocco's Modern Life. I'm not sure how I can explain that one without getting canceled. So, or like without YouTube, like, cut the stream. So again, it's interesting. So again, but they used to take risks, and it was creative, and actually it was fun. It was enjoyable because they took risks. Yeah, Johnny Bravo was the shit. Definitely was the shit. Because again, they took risks. It was wild. They got people who were controversial, and it was fun overall. Again, let's go back to the issues with the MCU here. So again, they're calling it the MCU because every single character that ends up being somehow, one way or another, franchises end up being taken over by female characters, which is fine. I mean, have you ever read comic books? It's filled with female superheroes. It's fine. And the only issue is that usually they're super hot. And some of the castings that they've done is not really super hot, but whatever. So that's a major complaint there. Like, you guys remember just like 90s X-Men? You guys remember Rogue? How they animated her? It was like, holy shit. Goddamn. Like, I was like 5, and even as 5, I was like, holy smokes. Arrgh. Anyway. Anyway, I don't think that's really relevant here. But yeah, so the casting hasn't really been great, and the writing has definitely been terrible. So let me do a quick recap here. So Thor: Love and Thunder, they add like the little girl whose name I don't really care about, and they add the Mighty Thor, which would be Natalie Portman, which again is stupid, but whatever. She-Hulk, they added her. There you go. She-Hulk was supposed to be hot though. Yeah, the CGI was terrible though. Again, they've lost a bunch of animators. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I haven't seen it, but they added the Wasp, which is fine. Loki, they added She-Loki or Fem-Loki or whatever, however you want to call her. I forget her name. WandaVision, that's fine. It's just Wanda. Doctor Strange, they added the Star Girl, whose name I forget. They got Ms. Marvel with Kamala Khan or whatever, however you say her name. Who else? Who am I thinking about? Oh, well. Hawkeye, they added the girl whose name I forget, Kate Bishop, and in Black Widow, they added the sister. And in all those movies, they kind of just keep killing off the either the bad guy or the good, and they leave the female bad guy there, like, the mute girl, the Echo or whatever. They left her in there. What else? What am I missing? I had it written down somewhere. The point is, like, the ratio, male to female ratio it's gone pretty downhill. Now, this wouldn't really be an issue, except these movies, these franchises are for boys. Boys care about superheroes. Now, some girls do too, but the ones who really care are boys. We grow up with this stuff. We pretend like we are. And actually, I read an interesting study about, like how little boys and little girls play. So when a little girl is they give her a doll, they project themselves onto the doll. So let's say if I give a girl like a Barbie, they're pretending like, it's like they are the Barbie, right? Like, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I go here. And when they write stuff, they tend to do that. They project themselves. Boys, on the other hand, if you give them a Batman toy, I'm not Batman. He's Batman. And so you play Batman as Batman. I wouldn't play Batman as Dario. Does that make sense? Like, think about it in a video game. When you're playing a video game, when I'm playing Legend of Zelda, I'm not Link. He's Link. I'm controlling Link, but he's Link. Now, there's certain games where they make you feel like you're the character. Like, for example, Batman Arkham Asylum, where you're like, I'm fucking Batman, yeah, I just did that. And so that, I think, kind of comes into play a lot with these particular franchises, especially with writers. And I've been noticing this a lot lately. Writers are projecting themselves up the wazoo, and it's actually pretty funny when you see whoever wrote this, you're like, who wrote this? And you see like an image of the character, and then you see an image of the writer, and you're like, kind of projecting there a bit there, buddy. I think what's going on here? Like, for perfect example, the Velma TV show on HBO Max, written by Mindy Kaling. How does Velma look? So, projected much there? There, lady, what the hell is going on here? So, I think that's the problem with that form of writing, because again, you can't project you into the MCU and expect other people to like it. You might like it. You might be like, this is great because I'm in it. But that's not going to work for an audience because we don't give a fuck about you. And also, you don't make sense within the context of that world. That's a world where half the people would just disappeared. All right? They just snap their fingers, boom. Half the universe is gone. So people would go through a lot of traumas. They would go through they have like a lot of issues. Like the one character that actually, shows those scars would be Hawkeye. I mean, Clint Burton. But they tried to make his show into like a kiddie TV show. So I don't know what the fuck they were doing there, but they did it, and it was stupid. But all right, let me see real quick. I'll come back to this point. But Black Widow, I haven't seen Hawkeye, She-Hulk, or Thor: Love and Thunder. Have I missed anything? You missed terrible stuff. Hawkeye is alright. She-Hulk sucks. I haven't seen She-Hulk because I didn't care. And again, the CGI looked terrible. And Hawkeye, my issue is that it was so close. If they would have made it a show for adults, like if they would have kept the tone of the Daredevil TV show from Netflix, it would have been pretty cool. But they made it a TV show for little kids, and it was stupid because it wasn't even like a good little kids TV show. It was just like, hey, let's make this show for only somebody who's seen like all of this material before would kind of understand, and would only care about these characters if they've seen all this other stuff, but has the mentality of like a 14-year-old, or I'm sorry, like a 4-year-old. It was stupid. It was really stupid. It was hard to follow. Like, I don't imagine like even little kids enjoyed it. Because again, it was stupid. Whatever. And they just completely ruined the Kingpin, by the way. They completely ruined the Kingpin. It made no fucking sense. I hated it, but whatever. Someone should ask Disney, what is a woman? Yeah. That would be an interesting question. Lol, Gus Bezerra. But story-wise, Chuck, are there any of them relevant to the MCU storylines? All right. Thor: Love and Thunder, I assume will be relevant because again, Thor is one of the major players in the Avengers because he's one of the most powerful beings. They completely made him a clown. They completely made him a joke. But it is still Thor, so I'm guessing that when push comes to shove, they will make him relevant just a little bit because he has a daughter, but it's not his. It's really weird and was really stupid. Hawkeye, no, just there's a new Kate Bishop now is the new Hawkeye. Basically, that's the only thing you really need to know. She-Hulk, I haven't seen it, so I can't really tell you. Listen, I'm not saying but you'll never see me and Batman the same. I'm not saying I'm Batman, but you'll never see me and Batman in the same room, dude. You'll never see Batman. That's he'll get you before you even notice it. Sir, Velma was unfortunate because Mindy Kaling was a genius writer on The Office. Yeah, sure. Back when she took risks, I was rewatching one of the old episodes of The Office. Actually, I was listening to somebody rewatch it, and it was a scene where Michael Scott was reenacting Chris Rock's skit. And you guys made it's kind of a famous skit. Like, I'm not gonna say it specifically because again, I don't want to get thrown off of YouTube and stuff. But it's like, How can I allude to it? It's the one where he says that black people are more racist than white people because they hate black people too. But again, he actually reenacts the whole thing word for word, and he does that like the Chris Rock voice. So yeah, again, she did not give a fuck. Mindy Kaling did not give a fuck, and she just went all out, and because everybody went all out for The Office, back then, and so I don't know what happened, but something clearly happened, and it's really not working out for her. So let's see. What I like, Velma, they made her look hot, very curvy. Listen, Velma from the Scooby-Doo movies is the hottest version of Velma. The girl from Freaks and Geeks. That's the end of this conversation. All right, it's done. It's over. Nobody's ever gonna change my mind on that. But let's continue. What is it? Linda Cardellini? Is that her name? I don't know. She was also in ER, but whatever. No, it's not Linda Cardellini. That's another chick. But whatever. So back to this whole stuff. So again, Marvel's in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble because there's nothing exciting past Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe Daredevil, because again, it's Born Again. It could be, I love that storyline, but if they keep doing it for kiddies, it's not gonna work out. And Born Again is not particularly for kids. So we'll see how that works out. But let's go now. Let's switch on to the DC side. My humble opinion, the MCU is in a lot of trouble, and I don't see how it could be fixed, especially not by James Gunn, because it's not in his control, right? It's not in his hands. He can make one excellent movie in an ocean of turds. I'll watch his movie, but still, I'm not gonna go watch all the other stuff. Again, I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. I haven't seen She-Hulk. I haven't seen Miss Marvel, whatever it's called, and I'm its core audience, me. Person who grew up with this stuff in my 30s. Like, I'm supposed to be the core audience for Marvel. Like, and they've lost me. They've almost completely lost me. That's how bad it's gotten, all right? Disgustingly bad. And so, we'll see if they can save it. But yeah, and I'll do an Ant-Man review when I watch it, but I'm not going to pay for it. I'm probably going to wait for it to start streaming. Because again, I think it bombed, and I think it's going to be streaming pretty quick. But we'll see. So let's move on to the DC side, because on the DC side, James Gunn actually has a little bit of control. So again, for those of you who don't know, James Gunn got fired from Guardians of the Galaxy for old jokes and then got rehired by Disney. But in the meantime, he got hired by DC to direct a sequel to the Suicide Squad. Now, it wasn't exactly a sequel. It was kind of a reboot, but it wasn't actually a reboot because they brought back characters from the original Suicide Squad. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what to call this. A re-sequel. A sequel boot. I don't know. Whatever. The point is, the movie's okay. It's watchable. They brought in King Shark, which I liked. Most of the characters are likable. It's enjoyable. It's an okay flick. I had issues with it, but it was violent. It was gory. It had one really, really good scene. I have other scenes where it's kind of like iffy. They try to be too funny, which doesn't fit as well. With the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's PG-13. It's sillier. Here, it was rated R, so they kind of should have toned it down. They tried too hard to be funny, so it's a problem. And also then he made the TV show Peacemaker. Now, Peacemaker, I would have liked it more if it hadn't been John Cena, because I think John Cena was completely miscast for the role. I don't see him as Peacemaker. I'll say it a million times. John Cena was trying to be Sean William Scott, Stifler from American Pie. So if you're gonna hire somebody to pretend to be Stifler, why don't you just hire Stifler? Like, you should have just hired Sean William Scott. If Sean William Scott would have played Peacemaker, that show would have been phenomenal. But whatever. Let me see. Gus Becerra, Batman is the best DC character and has the best universe villains. They need to build around Batman and stop trying to build around Superman. He's boring, and so are his villains. So we'll get into that. We'll get into all the Batman stuff. And first off, you're right. Batman is by far the most interesting. Well, he's the most interesting character in DC because he's a guy. All right, the power levels between DC and Marvel are nowhere close. Like, DC's got gods, Marvel's got super beings. There's a complete difference, all right? The power levels are not even close. DC is Dragon Ball Z levels. Freaking Marvel is like Naruto. Like completely different leagues, all right? In terms of power. And then you got this one guy dressed as a bat who is slaying it there. Like one of my favorite images of all time, I don't remember if it was from Justice League or if it was from the Justice League, the animated TV show, or maybe the Batman animated TV show. I think it was from the Justice League animated TV show, is an image of Batman flying a ship. And in the ship, you got Superman, you got Martian Manhunter, you got Wonder Woman, you got you got Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern, and you got somebody else. So it's like all those characters can fly, but the one who is driving that ship and everybody else who's wearing a fucking seatbelt is Batman, because Batman is in control of that ship. So it's just hilarious. But anyway, he's the most interesting character in DC because he's a normal guy. So anybody is a real threat to him. Like a normal dude with a knife is a threat to Batman, and that raises the stakes. The issue with Superman is that the stakes are never too high because, you know, he's always like, he's Superman. He's way more powerful than everybody else on the planet. So it's like, oh man, how do I make this interesting? The best storylines with Superman is where he's kind of the villain. I love those storylines. My favorite, personally, my favorite Superman comic is Red Sun. And it's again because Superman is kind of the bad guy there. However, Superman's thing is he's supposed to inspire hope. And the reason why he inspires hope is because he's a super being, like more powerful than everybody else, and yet he does the most humble things. Like he saves people because he believes that humanity is worth saving. And you know, others you could debate other stuff, but supposedly he inspires people. And honestly, that's actually pretty exciting when you watch the movies. Some of them you walk out of there being inspired, like, oh god damn, like, man, I want to be Superman. Like, I wish I was, not because of the superpowers and stuff, but because I want to be that good, you know? Like, I want to be like that, not uncorruptible. And so it depends on what you like. But as far as interesting goes, I think Batman is way more interesting because, again, the stakes are way higher in anything that Batman does. My point is, a good antagonist makes a great protagonist. The TV show Gotham is mainly about each villain, not about Batman, because Bruce Wayne is a child. Shit, not when Joker kills Lois. Again, everybody's got his limits. Everybody's got their limits, right? And again, that's the Injustice storyline, which I love the Injustice storyline. That's phenomenal writing. It's the dudes from Mortal Kombat writing DC stuff. It's great. I highly recommend read the comics. Play the video game. The story's awesome both ways, and it's hysterical. Probably my favorite scenes are the ones with Green Arrow and Harley Quinn. Like, they just did not give a fuck. But whatever. Let's continue here. What was that? All right, so they made Peacemaker. Didn't hate the show. Didn't love the show. It was kind of whatever. But it was, fun. It was at the very least it's fun. Now, the big news with James Gunn is that he will be directing the next Superman film. It's going to be called Superman Legacy. And here's where we kind of get into issues. Now, for those of you who don't know, James Gunn was named co-CEO of, I believe, Warner Brothers Pictures or whatever. Or one of those companies. So he's the co-head honcho on top of everything. So he's going to be controlling the future of the DC Cinematic Universe from the inside out, all right? Completely. And he's going to be directing the next Superman movie. And here is where we start getting into issues. Because the first thing that they did is they got rid of Henry Cavill after they brought back Henry Cavill, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen anybody do. Everybody liked Henry Cavill as Superman. Getting rid of him was beyond fucking retarded. I don't know why they did it. There was rumors that one of the reasons why he left The Witcher is to focus more on Superman, and then he got canned from both. It makes no sense. It was stupid. It was insulting. You just pissed a bunch of people off. But, if you wanted to make a younger version of Superman, whatever, fine. In fact, I think I have like a quick summary here of what the next Superman is supposed to be. Let me see if I got it here. Where are you? Where are you? Okay. So, Superman Legacy tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way, guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned. So again, this is old school Superman. This is old school, going to be inspirational Superman. So, all right, we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Joker, Penguin, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, Croc, Clayman, Bane, Ra's al Ghul, on and on. Name another hero with that many notable villains or enemies. Again, I'm not complaining, but let's just, it's this simple. Put Mr. Freeze against Superman. He's not going to last a minute. Put, I don't know, the Penguin against Wonder Woman. Not going to last a second. Put Bane against the Green Lantern. Not gonna last a second. So the reason why those characters are awesome and interesting is because they're up against Superman. I'm sorry, they're up against Batman. So it's believable that they're competition for Batman. If they weren't up against Batman, it would not be anywhere near as interesting. Because again, they're not on that level. None of those can stand up to Superman, except Poison Ivy. All right. Cavill is an a-hole, apparently. You know, I've heard nothing but the opposite. All right. I've never heard anything that makes me think otherwise. And I'm talking about people who have met the guy. All right. Because I have interviewed people who have worked with Henry Cavill, and they've never had anything but good things to say about the guy. So maybe he's a little weird for, Hollywood, because he likes his things and he does them the way he likes them, and he's kind of obsessive with stuff and he's defensive, but I don't see that as a bad thing. When they trust you with a friend, when they trust you with a character like Geralt of Rivia, and which is a franchise that you love, you will be protective about it. And here's the most important thing for The Witcher specifically. The creator of The Witcher, the writer of the books, was like, yeah, I'm on Cavill's side here. So listen, I try to be nice, but if I'm, responsible for a franchise that I love, I will be an asshole to defend it. So I don't see an issue with it. And again, I've never heard anything bad about Cavill in general. So maybe he is, maybe he's not, but we can't see. And you can't build around Superman, but that's the thing. DC villains are smart. They end up finding Superman's weakness. So listen, Lex Luthor is a guy. All right. Lex Luthor is Superman's nemesis, and he's just a guy because, again, he's super smart, and he's like, all right, fine. Have you guys ever played a board game that has, or like Civilization? You guys ever played Civilization? Like, there's multiple ways of winning. You can do like a cultural victory. You can do like military victory or whatever. So like Lex Luthor's like, all right, I can't beat you straight up, fight to like a mano a mano. I'm going to beat you politically. I'm going to beat you with public opinion. I'm going to beat you somewhere else. So that makes it interesting to actually follow Lex Luthor and see what the hell he's going to be able to do to bring Superman down. Superman, again, his job is to not be corruptible, or to try not to be, and then you have to throw temptation his way. I think the issue with Superman is that they don't really throw temptation his direction. Now, I enjoyed the Superman movie made by Zack Snyder because it's the one Superman movie that has a shit ton of action, like nonstop. The Smallville fight scene is insane. It's incredible. Now, they did modify Superman a little bit, and they made him a Superman that actually does kill, but he was, killing for a good reason. And so, also, I mean, come on, every single Superman's killed somebody. Like, there's no way that you can crash somebody into a planet and then, there not be like a few casualties, but whatever. As we saw in Invincible, but whatever, we don't think about that. Again, it depends on which villains you put them, and you have to put them against, and they have to be like Armageddon level villains, right? Because that's the only way where he can actually duke it out, and it would be interesting. But back to this. I've heard rumors that have been concerning revolving the Superman movie and James Gunn. However, recent news has been kind of like, all right, maybe some exciting stuff is in the horizon in, DC world. However, let me just tell you what the rumor was. There was a rumor going out there that the artist formerly known as Ellen Page was in consideration to play Superman in the new James Gunn movie. And when I heard that, I was like, fuck you. I am done. I am done. You bring the artist formerly known as Ellen Page into here to play Superman, who is like 5 feet tall. I'm done. I'm so fucking done with everything DC. Like, I'm done. Fortunately, I think it appeared to just be a rumor, and the artist formerly known as Ellen Page will not be playing Superman in the near future. So, all right. Let me see. The Joker would kidnap Lois and make Superman eat kryptonite to save her. Yes. But again, Joker does not care about Superman. All right, because Joker knows he can break Superman. All right, he knows it. That's why he doesn't care. Joker doesn't care about money. He doesn't care. He cares about trying to break Batman because he knows that Batman is harder to break. That's why he goes after Batman. Also because, he's more on his level. But whatever. Who the fuck is the artist formerly known as Ellen Page? Don't you know? The artist formerly known as Ellen Page? You ever saw Inception? You ever saw Juno? That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying it this way because it's funnier. Anyway, so let's continue here. So James Gunn clarified the things that are coming out this year, whatever, and he clarified stuff that's coming out in the future, and he also clarified that some things will be considered the DC part of the DC universe and some things won't. Like, for example, the Matt Reeves Batman movie will exist in its own universe. It's not going to be part of the DC Cinematic Universe, and they've confirmed that they're going to do something that I actually find exciting. James Gunn has confirmed that there's going to finally be continuity throughout media, meaning that the actor who plays a character in a movie will play the same character in the TV show, will voice the same character in an animated medium, will voice the same character in a video game. And all the stories will be canon. So no longer the animated movies are its own thing, the live action movies are its own thing, the video game are its own thing. No, they're going to bring everything together. So that could, if it's good, it's exciting because it's a lot more stuff and there's going to be continuity and there's finally going to be some ahead, like somebody on top of everything that's keeping everything in line and making it make sense. However, if it's bad, it's going to be really bad because one thing is going to be a domino effect. One thing's going to fuck up the other, kind of like what happened with Marvel. So we'll see how it goes. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt so far. Again, at least the idea sounds exciting, which is something that we haven't had in a very long time. So, oh, fuck that shit. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, fuck that shit. Anyway, so let's get into it. So first, let's talk about the things that are coming out this year, because there's 4 movies that are coming out. I hope so, because it was just so disappointing the last Batman game. Talking about the one where you're Nightwing and Robin and Batgirl and Red Hood. Haven't played it, but is it Arkham Knights? No, that can't be it. What's the name? Anyway, I didn't play it. I wasn't excited about it, and there's too many good video games out there. Was it Titans? That's a Batman game? Titans? Really? Anyway, doesn't matter. So, because again, didn't play it, so don't particularly care. But let's get into the movies that will be coming out this year, because this is where everything started. Yes, Knights. See, there you go. We knew it wasn't Titans. Gus, stop drinking. So first off, we got a movie that already came out, which is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I have not seen it yet. I haven't heard anything good. I liked the first one. So it was shocking to hear that this one was kind of bad, but I've heard that it was kind of bad, so I haven't seen it. So unfortunate, but whatever. Next coming out, and this is the big one, it's coming out June 16th, is The Flash. Now, The Flash is supposedly the most important movie that's going to be coming out in this particular phase of the DC Cinematic Universe, which has a name, all right? Which I kind of like the name. So, the name is going to be called Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. It was a great title. I gotta tell you. So this phase is gonna be called that phase. Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Every single thing that I mentioned from this point on is going to be part of phase 1, Gods and Monsters, except the first four movies that I'm gonna mention right now that come out this year. So there you go. Again, so June 16th. This one is kind of concerning because actor Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash, has been getting into a buttload of trouble lately. And fortunately, if they do Flashpoint Paradox, it's supposed to be based on Flashpoint Paradox. I don't particularly love the things that I've seen, but whatever. It's supposed to be based on Flashpoint Paradox. They can just change Ezra Miller for the guy who plays the Flash in the CW show, which I would totally do because that would be fucking hysterical. And actually, the dude did a pretty good Barry Allen, so I would just do that. But I don't think they're gonna. Let's see. How about Ezra not getting canceled? Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton will appear in this one. Dude, I don't know how Ezra has not been canceled. I don't get it. But, you know, some people get fired and some people don't. And it's bullshit. Because we all know why it is. Bullshit. Anyway, so Michael Keaton will be in it. I don't like that Michael Keaton will be playing Bruce Wayne. It annoys me because in Flashpoint Paradox, it's not Bruce Wayne, it's Thomas Wayne, which for those of you who don't know, Thomas Wayne is Batman's father. So in Flashpoint Paradox, what happens is that Thomas Wayne doesn't get murdered. It's Bruce Wayne and Martha Wayne who get murdered, and so Thomas actually ends up, you know, killing the guy who kills his family, and so he becomes Batman after that traumatic event. And it's actually like a pretty really dark storyline, Flashpoint Paradox, and I love it. It's fantastic. If you actually watch the animated movie Flashpoint Paradox, I think it's one of the best animated superhero movies out there. I highly recommend it. But because he's non-binary and apparently it's okay for him to do that. Listen, if you're going to get punched in the face by somebody and then you're going to be like, oh, well, it's okay if he did it because he's X, Y, and Z, you're an idiot. And DC putting all their eggs in the basket of a dude who's clearly mentally unwell does not seem like a particularly good idea. And what do I mean by putting all their eggs in their basket? Well, Flash is one of their most, you know, popular characters. They got rid of Henry Cavill. It doesn't look like Ben Affleck will be coming back because he's having his own issues, and I don't think he particularly wants to come back. Aquaman, nobody gives a fuck about him, and Shazam is kind of off doing his own thing, and there's no way you can build a franchise around freaking The Rock in I forget his name, and Black Adam, because it wouldn't make sense whatsoever. So they were betting on the Flash, and guess what? Didn't particularly work out. Whoops. Anyway, so what are we talking about? Yeah, so this movie, it's a chance to reboot everything. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, all right, so we're going to close out all these things, all these universes, and we're going to start fresh, it's actually a pretty smart idea. Not the most original idea in the world, but whatever. It's, you know what's the most original idea? Like kudos, like the best reboot I've ever heard. It came from Final Fantasy. I don't, was it 16? I don't know. It was the Final Fantasy Online. And they started off their universe and it kind of apparently sucked. And so they apologized to the fans and they made it canon. Like, to have a dragon completely destroy that universe and start it anew. So they actually made it part of the storyline. The apology and everything, like, we're sorry, we fucked up, you deserve better, give us another shot, please. And they had a dragon basically destroy the entire world, and they started fresh. That's how you make a fucking reboot. And apparently afterwards, the game's great. I don't really play MMOs, but I've heard good things. But yeah, let's go back to let's get back to this, because again, I get easily distracted. It's a problem. But all right, so you got the Flash here. You're gonna reboot everything. All right. The problem is, what are you gonna reboot it with? Well, here's kind of where things get a little bit weird. But let's finish off where are the movies that come out this year. Next, August 18th. I just saw the trailer for this. You got Blue Beetle. I'll be honest with you. I don't particularly care about Blue Beetle one way or the other. It seems basically, imagine if Green Lantern and Iron Man had a baby. pretty much like an alien weapon comes over and fuses with the kid. And so it allows it to create whatever he can imagine. Like, it sounds a lot like the Green Lantern, except it's blue and it's an armor thing. So, all right. So I never really followed or cared about Blue Beetle. I like that it's going to be Menudo from Karate Kid playing the guy, but from the trailer, it seems like the family's too involved. Again, I've never really read a Blue Beetle comic, but the family seems to be too involved. And it's one of those things where, like, if I have a super alien weapon, I don't want my grandma to be involved in whatever it is that I'm going to do. Like, I would keep her away from me, like really far away, because, you know, you got a super alien weapon that could very easily kill her and yourself and a bunch of, like, destroy the entire planet. So maybe keep her away from you. I don't know. And don't worry about it, Gus Becerra. It's okay if I don't mind being distracted. So we'll see if it's good or not. Point is, not particularly excited. And finally, to round out the year, you got Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. This one comes out December 25th. All right, we'll see. I like the first one. The first one was just cheesy. And I heard the director say, like, if you like the first one, it's everything the first one had, just more of it. So it's like, all right. The big issue with this movie is Amber Heard, or Amber Turd, as she is, you know, more famously known. How did she not get fired for this? Like, Ezra Miller, I could kind of understand because the fans don't hate him. Amber Heard not getting fired is beyond stupid. Like, I'm not going to watch the movie just because she's in it, or at least I'm not going to pay for it because she's in it. Because fuck her. For those of you who don't know, Amber Heard is Johnny Depp's ex-wife, and let's just say not a very nice person. You can, you know, just check out every single thing that came out on the trial of Johnny Depp, like, and all the slander and all that stuff, and how now she owes him money and all that, and, you know, how she pooped on his bed and blamed the dog. Like, just check that out. I don't know what the hell they're thinking here. I just don't think they're thinking. Like, unless it's confirmed that, oh yeah, well, she's in it for 5 minutes and we kill her off brutally, be like, all right, fair enough. And a character named Jack just kills her. Like, all right. But here is one of those things where you're like, dude, why don't you just recast her? I don't understand, like, the amount of money it would cost you to just reshoot a few scenes or change an actress in CGI or whatever is nothing compared to the amount of money you're going to lose from people not going to watch the movie because they hate her. I don't get it. It's stupid. It's a really bad idea. But, all right, you know what? Go ahead. It's your money. Go ahead and waste it. Crazy equals great in bed. Did you see her nude video to Johnny? Because she pooped on the producer's bed. Hey, you know what? Maybe he's into it. Maybe James Gunn is into that shit. You don't know. Literally. Whatever. Next. So that's, again, those are the movies that come out this year. Now let's move on to the future. The future. Now, this is going to be like a mix of TV shows and movies. So first off, we got the animated TV show Creature Commandos. Now, I'll read this here for you. A 7-episode animated show in which Amanda Waller creates a Black Ops team out of monstrous prisoners. Gunn wrote all the episodes of the first season. Now, I need you to keep that in mind. James Gunn tends to write the movies or shows he directs, and he writes a lot of stuff. And I want you to keep this in mind. Writing Superman, wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, now he's writing this. That's a lot of writing. Doesn't mean that everything's gonna be good. That's actually really concerning when, you know, they spread too thin. Like, I feel thin, Gandalf. Like butter spread over too much bread. But anyway, so, all right, animated TV show could be good. It seems basically like it's going to be Suicide Squad, but, you know, with uglier characters and animated, so it actually could be better. Next, you got Waller, played by, again, Viola Davis. This series features Team Peacemaker and will be written by Crystal Henry, who, you know, The Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver from Supernatural. All right, we'll see how it goes. I don't particularly love the Amanda Waller character or her storyline or anything, but, you know, it could be fun. We'll see. Next, we got Superman Legacy. This is the first movie that's going to be coming out, you know, the of the Gods and Monsters thing. It's going to be written again by James Gunn. The film would hit theaters on July 11th, 2025, and will focus on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Next, you got The Lanterns. Well, Lanterns. This enormous TV event series follows intergalactic cops Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they uncover a dark mystery. So the way that this was explained by James Gunn himself is that this is gonna be kind of like True Detective, but with the Green Lanterns. So it's gonna be a True Detective superhero movie, which sounds phenomenal, like a buddy cop thing. You know, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart being the cops of this particular sector and trying to uncover a particular crime. That actually sounds like a great idea. It's not clear if it's gonna be animated or not. I think it's gonna be animated, but it sounds really good. Like, it sounds really interesting. I love Hal Jordan, but Jon Stewart is probably like the more interesting of the Green Lanterns, because again, if you watch the Justice League TV shows, like, again, Hal Jordan, he's like the OG of the golden era. I love him. He's great, phenomenal. To me, he's always going to be like the original Green Lantern and the best one. But Jon Stewart has his freaking moments from from the way that they played around with that character in the Justice League animated TV show was great. It made me like him way more, and he fits way better in that particular universe. So we'll see how that works. Like, Hal Jordan's more of a wild card. Jon Stewart fits better as part of a team. So we'll see. I'm guessing that what's going to happen here is that Jon Stewart's the straight man, Oh wait! Are they doing Lethal Weapon, but with with the Green Lanterns? Is this like, I'm too old for this shit? is that what's gonna happen? Dude, that'd be great. Honestly, okay. Now I'm really into this show. I was already into it. Now I'm super into it. If it's Lethal Weapon with Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, I am 100% in. Next, we got This is The Authority. This is going to be a movie. When Wildstorm characters will join the DCU as members of the Authority, take matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. Now, for those of you who don't know who the Authority is, it's basically a comic created by Wildstorm. Probably the most famous character to come out of there would be the Midnighter, who's basically a guy who has a plan for every single scenario, and he's like a master strategist, and he's basically the Batman of that particular world. And Apollo would be the Superman of the particular world, and they're kind of in a gay relationship, or at least that's what I understand. That's probably what people most know them for. Mel Gibson is Jordan. No, don't recast Ryan Reynolds. Mel Gibson. Bring Mel Gibson to this. We have CGI. They can make him look younger. Do it. Do it, you cowards. Next. The Authority was HHH and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. No, respect my authority. Next, we got, I'm very excited about this one, Paradise Lost. So, set in Themyscira, which is, the island of Wonder Woman, home of the Amazons and birthplace of Wonder Woman, this drama focuses on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women. So, this is the way they described it. This is going to come out on HBO Max. They said it's going to be Game of Thrones, but, with Wonder Woman. So, I'm very excited about this one because I have the comic book and I love it. It's a great storyline. It's one of the best Wonder Woman storylines. And if it's HBO and if it's Game of Thrones and if it's going to be an island of all chicks, come on, do it, you cowards. You gotta do it. Anyway, it has to be. If you're going to do Game of Thrones, you got to do Game of Thrones. All right? Do it, you cowards. But the point is, it's a good storyline, and it's very grounded. It's basically a civil war that goes on now. Them saying the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women is concerning because, again, it deviates from the original storyline, which takes place after Diana has left the island. But all right, we'll see how it goes. Again, could be fun. Could be interesting. I'll give it the pervy benefit of the doubt. Next, you got Batman, the Brave and the Bold. This is going to be a movie. And this is going to be the DCU's introduction of Batman and Robin. Now, I'll just read you what it says here. The DCU will introduce its Batman and Robin in this unusual father and son story inspired by Grant Morrison's comic series. Now, for those of you who don't know, Batman has a son, and he eventually becomes the new Robin. His name is Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne? I forget. Damian. Point is, the D Wayne. He's D Wayne. Damian? I don't know. I usually just call him Robin. He's a phenomenal Robin because he was raised by, the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul, and, his mother, Talia al Ghul. And so he's raised to kill. Batman doesn't kill. So there's a lot of, let's just say, beating it out of him. Beating that killer instinct out of him, trying to control a wild pit bull, a wild wolf. And so it's awesome. He's a great character. It completely changes, well, not completely, it changes the dynamic of Batman because, again, this is Batman as a father. So it's really good. It's fun. And again, this is going to be the introduction of Batman in the DCU. So this is going to be the official Batman. Not anybody else. We'll see how it goes. But if you're going to start somewhere, that's not a really bad place to start because it's going to be a completely different story than we've seen before in any of the Batman movies. Usually it's like we go back to, his parents getting killed, blah, blah, blah. This one's not, you don't need that. You need to put us in a situation where we can understand how Batman has a kid and all that stuff. So you need to explain the Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Could be fun. And again, supposedly all of these are interconnected. So like the mystery that they discover in the Lanterns is going to affect Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Superman Legacy is going to affect Paradise Lost. So again, it's going to be all interconnected, which is kind of the exciting part for Robin's total. We'll see. Next, Booster Gold. This is going to be a TV show. Booster Gold uses basic technology from the future to pretend to be a superhero in present day. Booster Gold is a loser. He's literally a loser. And so again, he used technology to come back to the past to be like, oh, look at me, how impressive I am. But Booster Gold's a loser. So I think that they have an opportunity to make a pretty funny TV show here about a loser dude with, really high tech. We'll see how it goes. Damian Wayne, thank you. I wouldn't mind Damian Wayne. He's a badass Robin. He is. Like, he's really, really badass. And an a-hole, which is funny. Next, we got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So, a science fiction adventure which will be based on Tom King's amazing award-winning recent comic story presents a Supergirl viewers were not used to seeing. Now, what does that mean? If you can see the image right here, this Supergirl is kind of covered in blood. So, what happens here in this particular universe is Supergirl is raised on a tiny piece of Krypton, and pretty much every single person she cares for is dead, and I believe she saw them die. So she is, to quote James Gunn, kind of jaded, which sounds fun as fuck. So imagine a really jaded Superman who's actually a hot chick and has a lot of issues and doesn't mind killing. That could be fun. That could be an interesting story. In fact, I want to read the comic book storyline just because it sounds that awesome and it looks really good. So, well, I like the art style. It's reminiscent of it's modern because it has a lot of really interesting details, but it reminds me of something. It actually kind of reminds me of like a Mad TV comic. I don't know. It's weird, but I like the style. Like a classy. Like if they actually tried to make something serious, it looks really good. So we'll see how that goes. Agree, Chuck, but I also wish they would incorporate all the other ones, Nightwing and Red Hood, Red Robin. Listen, they could incorporate them because now we're starting in the middle. Sorry, it's because we're starting closer to the end of the Batman storyline. Yeah, closer to the more modern one, but we'll see how that goes. And finally, we got Swamp Thing. So this is also going to be a movie, which I'm shocked that it's going to be a movie, but whatever. The film will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing. So there you go. That's the future for DC, amigos. It looks, like I said, in the very least, sounds exciting. All right, which is something that DC hasn't had for a very long time. Something, to keep you interesting, to keep you guessing, to be like, you know what? At least it sounds like they got their foot out of their ass a little. I don't 100% trust James Gunn with this because I don't feel like his style fits DC that well. Like, it fits Marvel, but because Marvel does not take itself seriously at all. Like, in fact, it's the part that I really don't like about Marvel. It's too silly. It's too kiddie. They make jokes about like, oh, I'm a dude. I'm shooting aliens with a bow and arrow. It's nothing makes any sense. So it's really stupid. It takes you out of it in really dumb ways, and because they feel like they have to be funny. DC takes itself very seriously. It keeps you contained within the four walls of that particular universe. And I really like the Snyderverse. I really like those movies because at least they were different. At least they had their own style. They had their own feel. I enjoyed them. So we'll see. At least, in the grand scheme of things, it sounds interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. But again, I think it's easier to save DC than the MCU. Because again, DC was so fucked up that anything you do that makes a little bit of sense would be better than what they have right now. So, actually, no, they should have just continued the animated movies. The animated movies were doing fine, and they were doing actually pretty great. So, we'll see how it goes. Not gonna lie, I like the new Batman movie. I still haven't done the best movies of 2022, have I? Because I have thoughts about that movie. Like, the more far apart I am from it, I have more and more thoughts. So I probably need to get back to doing that. But anyway, that's the thing for another day. As always, comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. I'm probably going to be doing streams on Tuesdays. I feel like it works out fine. Like Tuesdays around 7 p.m. Pacific is if you want to join me for part of a live stream. If I do anything else, it'll probably not be live. I'll just record something and load it just because it's easier. But I think I'm just going to do that. Live sounds reasonable. Tuesday, 7 p.m. At least I'll aim for it. Hopefully it works out. We'll see. Just because I said it now, I'm going to be busy next Tuesday. I know it. It always happens. But hopefully it works out. Also, I need to do the stupid Dark Souls thing because I lost a bet for the NFL. That one, if I stream it, it's probably going to be just whenever I feel like it, sporadically. Because I have to stream it because Eric has to be able to see that I played it. But it'll probably just be on Twitch. So at Super Dario World on Twitch, add me. Follow me. It's going to be random. Like literally whenever I have a chance to do it. If clips, I might, cut them up and post them and stuff the way they do it. I'm not excited about it, but we'll see. Like I said, as always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.